The night the devil came for my soul, she smiled before she spoke. People always imagined devils with horns, burning eyes, and cruel laughter. They were wrong. She looked like the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Long black hair flowed down her back like liquid night. Her silver eyes glowed softly beneath the crimson moon. She wore a dark cloak embroidered with ancient symbols that shimmered like living stars. Every step she took made the forest fall silent. Even the wolves stopped breathing. My name is Aria. I was 21 years old, an Omega, and I had exactly 1 hour left before the Alpha Council executed my older sister. They called her a traitor. I called her my family. The Kingdom of Valen believed every Omega existed to serve an Alpha. Our sense determined our fate before we were even born. Alphas ruled. Betas obeyed. Omegas survived.
Or they tried to.
My sister refused. She had started a rebellion, freeing Omegas sold into forced bonds. She rescued dozens before they finally captured her. At sunrise, they would burn her alive. No prison could be broken into. No army could challenge the council. There was only one place left to seek help. The Devil's Forest. Everyone knew the stories. Deep beneath the oldest tree waited a devil who granted impossible wishes. Nothing was free. Every wish demanded a price greater than the dream itself. I walked until my feet bled. Branches clawed at my clothes. The deeper I went, the quieter the world became. Finally, I reached the giant tree. Its roots were larger than houses. Black flowers surrounded it. I whispered through trembling lips. I offer anything. Nothing happened. I will give my future. Silence. My life. Still nothing. Tears filled my eyes. I just want my sister back. A cold breeze touched my face. Then a woman's voice answered behind me. You are asking for the wrong thing. I turned. She stood only a few steps away. Beautiful.
Impossible. Terrifying.
You, I whispered. The devil, she finished. Her voice sounded gentle. That frightened me more than any monster could. I expected horns. She laughed. The sound echoed through the forest like music wrapped around knives. They were uncomfortable. I stared. Was she joking? She stepped closer. Her scent reached me. Not Alpha. Not Beta. Not Omega. Something older. Like rain, smoke, winter, and forgotten memories. My Omega instinct screamed.
Run.
Instead, I stayed. She studied me carefully. You crossed 3 cursed rivers. Yes. You ignored every illusion. Yes. You truly love your sister. More than myself. She smiled again. I know. Her eyes suddenly glowed bright silver. Memories flooded around us. I saw my childhood, my parents dying, my sister raising me, the nights we starved, the mornings she pretended she was not hungry so I could eat, the first time she protected me from an alpha soldier. Every memory, every feeling, the devil had seen all of it. You can read memories? I read hearts. She reached toward my face. I flinched. Instead of touching me, she caught one of my tears. The tear turned into crystal in her fingers.
Pure.
What? Your love. She looked almost sad. I have not seen something this honest in centuries. Centuries. She was ancient. Can you save her? I asked. I can. Hope exploded inside my chest. Then please. I said I can.
She paused.
I did not say I would. My heart dropped. I will pay anything. I know. She walked around me slowly. Do you understand who I am? You are the devil. I am every promise people regret. She stopped in front of me. I am every desperate bargain. Her silver eyes locked onto mine. And I never lose. I swallowed hard. I still accept. For the first time, surprise crossed her face. You did not even ask the price. I do not care. She laughed quietly. You should. She raised one elegant finger. The first price. The forest darkened. Your freedom. What? From this moment until the contract ends, you belong to me. I hesitated, then nodded. I accept. The second. She stepped closer. So close I could count the silver lines inside her eyes. You may never lie to me. I accept. The third. Her voice became strangely soft. You will never fall in love with anyone except me. I blinked. What? She continued as if discussing the weather. If your heart chooses another, your soul dies. I frowned. That is impossible. Is it? I have never even met you. You have now.
Ist her.
Why would the devil demand something so strange? I thought you would ask for my soul. She smiled. Souls are common. She leaned close enough that her breath brushed against my ear. Hearts are priceless. A strange warmth rushed through my body. My omega instincts, instead of fearing her, suddenly calmed.
Impossible.
She noticed. You felt that. What are you?
For the first time.
The devil looked afraid. Only for a heartbeat. Then it disappeared. Ask the questions. She extended her hand. Accept. Far away, the first rays of sunrise appeared beyond the mountains. Time was running out. My sister was dying. Without another word, I took the devil's hand. The contract burned itself into my skin. Silver light wrapped around our joined hands. The earth shook. The sky turned black. Then the devil whispered words that made my blood freeze. You should know one more truth before we begin. I looked into her glowing eyes. What truth? She smiled. I have been searching for you for 500 years. The moment the contract sealed itself into my skin, silver light spread across my arm like living vines. The marks did not hurt. They felt warm, almost comforting. I looked down at the glowing symbols. What is this? The devil slowly released my hand. Our bond. It cannot be removed? She shook her head. Not until the contract is fulfilled. I looked back at her. You said you have searched for me for 500 years. I did. That makes no sense. It will. She turned away. For now, we have little time. The forest disappeared around us.
No.
It folded. The trees bent like reflections on water. The stars melted into silver mist, and the ground beneath my feet vanished. I gasped. Then solid earth returned beneath my boots. We stood on a mountain overlooking the capital. The city of Valens stretched beneath us. Golden towers pierced the morning sky. Thousands of Alpha soldiers surrounded the execution square. In the center stood a wooden platform. My sister, Lyra, was chained to a pillar. Her clothes were torn. Blood stained one side of her face. Yet she stood proudly. She refused to bow. My chest tightened. Lyra? The devil watched silently. You love her very much. She is all I have. The devil looked toward the city. That changes today. Before I could ask what she meant, church bells echoed through the kingdom. The High Alpha stepped onto the platform. His armor gleamed beneath the rising sun. His voice carried across the square. Today, we erase the greatest Omega traitor in history. The crowd roared. Many cheered. Some remained silent.
Fear had taught them when to clap.
The devil crossed her arms. They always perform before killing. You know them? I know every tyrant. She looked almost bored. The High Alpha raised a sword. Let this execution remind every Omega of their place. My heart pounded. We have to stop them. We will. She took one slow step forward. The sky darkened. Clouds swallowed the sun. Every bird vanished. The wind stopped. An unnatural silence spread across the kingdom. Thousands of soldiers looked upward. The High Alpha frowned. What is happening? The devil removed her cloak. Dark wings unfolded behind her. Not feathered. Not leather. They were made of shifting shadows filled with tiny stars. The entire city froze. Someone whispered, "The devil." Panic erupted instantly. People screamed. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Others pointed arrows toward the sky. The devil looked disappointed. They never remember. Then she vanished. A thunderous explosion shook the city. She appeared above the execution platform, floating, untouched by gravity. The soldiers fired hundreds of arrows. None reached her. Every arrow dissolved into ash before touching her. The High Alpha stepped backward. You cannot interfere with mortal law. The devil smiled. I already have. She snapped her fingers. Every chain binding Mira shattered. My sister collapsed to one knee.
Confused. Free.
The soldiers rushed toward her. The devil raised one hand. Invisible force slammed every soldier into the ground. The stone beneath them cracked. No one could move. The High Alpha struggled to breathe. You cannot. I can. Her voice remained calm. You simply believed otherwise. I watched from the mountain in complete disbelief. She was not fighting. She was barely trying. The devil looked toward my sister. Mira. My sister stared upward. Who are you? I keep promises. She waved her hand. Mira disappeared in silver light. A heartbeat later, my sister stood beside me on the mountain. She stumbled into my arms. I hugged her so tightly, I thought she might stop breathing. You are alive. She laughed through tears. I thought I would never see you again. We stayed like that for several moments. Then Mira looked past my shoulder. She saw the devil. Immediately, her expression changed. Her face became pale. You. The devil remained silent. Mira slowly stood. You actually exist. You know her? I asked. My sister nodded. There are stories. What stories? The oldest Omega spoke about a devil who protected our ancestors. I looked at the devil. You protected Omegas? She did not answer. Instead, Mira continued. 500 years ago, before the Alpha Empire existed, there was another kingdom. The devil quietly closed her eyes. Mira lowered her voice. They say the devil loved an Omega queen. The air suddenly became heavy. The devil opened her eyes again. Enough. Mira stopped talking immediately. I noticed something strange. The devil was trembling. Only slightly, but enough for me to see. You knew her. The devil looked away. I did. What happened? Silence. Finally she answered. I failed to save her. The sadness in her voice was unlike anything I had ever heard. It was not the sadness of days or years. It carried centuries of regret. Before I could ask another question, the mountain shook violently. The devil frowned. They recovered faster than expected. Below us, hundreds of glowing circles appeared around the city walls. Ancient symbols burned across the ground. Myra's eyes widened. No. What is it? She grabbed my arm. They are activating the divine seal. The devil sighed. I hoped they had forgotten that. What does it do? I asked. Neither of them answered immediately. Then the devil quietly spoke. It was created for only one purpose. Her silver eyes met mine. To kill me. Far below, every glowing circle ignited at once. Golden light shot into the heavens. The entire kingdom became one enormous prison. For the first time since I had met her, the devil stopped smiling. Golden light rose from every corner of the kingdom. The beams crossed high above the capital. A massive circle formed across the sky. Ancient symbols blazed like miniature suns. The air itself became heavy. I could barely breathe. The devil looked upward with an expression I could not read. So they remembered. Mira stepped beside me. The divine seal has not been used for hundreds of years. What exactly is it? I asked. She swallowed. A prison. The devil nodded. A prison built from the blood of thousands. The mountain trembled again. The glowing barrier began shrinking. Slowly, patiently, like a hunter closing its trap. The devil folded her shadow wings behind her. They have learned. You can escape, can't you? I asked. She smiled faintly. I could. Then why are we still standing here? Because if I leave. She pointed toward the city. The seal will collapse inward. I looked where she pointed. Millions of glowing threads stretched beneath the capital. They reached every house, every street, every living soul. Mira gasped. They tied the spell to the people. The devil nodded. If I force my way out, everyone inside dies. My stomach twisted. They would sacrifice their own people? They would sacrifice anything to destroy me. The bells of the capital rang again. This time they sounded like a warning. A voice echoed across the kingdom, not spoken by a person. The magic itself carried it. Devil of Shadows. Surrender. You stand accused of corrupting the natural order. The devil laughed quietly. They always choose dramatic speeches. The voice continued. Submit to divine judgment. She looked almost amused. I already survived one. Before I could ask what she meant, dozens of figures appeared in the sky. They wore white armor covered with glowing runes. Each carried a spear of golden light. Their sense struck me immediately. Every one of them was an alpha. Mira whispered, the sacred hunters. I counted. There had to be at least 50. The leader stepped forward. His white cape moved gently in the wind. His eyes locked onto the devil. Lucienne. The devil finally had a name. She answered without emotion. It has been a long time, Cassian. He lowered his spear. You still refuse to kneel. I never started. The Alpha commander sighed. I hoped the rumors were false. And I hoped your kingdom had learned mercy. Mercy has no place in order. The devil smiled. There it is. The sentence I have heard from every tyrant. Cassian looked at her for a long moment. Then his gaze shifted toward me. His expression hardened instantly. So, you found another Omega. Lucienne stepped slightly in front of me. She is not your concern. She became our concern the moment she signed her contract. My heart skipped. How do you know about the contract? Cassian looked directly at me. Because every contract leaves a mark. He pointed toward my glowing arm. Kill the Omega. The sacred hunters moved at once. Lucienne's silver eyes flashed. The air exploded. Invisible force threw every hunter backward. The mountain cracked beneath our feet. Yet Cassian remained standing. He planted his spear into the stone. Golden chains burst from the ground. They wrapped around Lucienne's wrists, around her wings, around her waist. She did not cry out. She simply looked down at them. I remember these. Cassian answered quietly. They were forged after the queen died. Lucienne closed her eyes. Pain crossed her face for only a heartbeat. Then it disappeared. Mira whispered. The stories were true. What stories? The devil once fought beside an Omega queen. I looked toward Lucienne. She never denied it. Cassian spoke again. You lost everything because of one Omega. You should have learned. Instead of answering, Lucienne smiled.
A sad smile.
I did learn. Cassian frowned. And yet.
She turned to look at me.
I made the same mistake twice. My cheeks grew warm. What are you talking about? She ignored the question. Instead, she spoke to Cassian. You believe I protect her because of guilt. You do.
No.
Her silver eyes met mine. I protect her because I chose her. Something inside my chest stirred. The contract on my arm began glowing brighter. Warmth spread through my body. Lucienne's eyes widened.
No.
She looked genuinely shocked. It cannot happen this soon. What cannot? She stared at the glowing mark. Our bond. The light spread across both our hands. The marks on my arm changed. The symbols rearranged themselves into something new. Mira stepped back. Oh no. Cassian's face turned pale. So it has begun. I looked between them. Will someone please explain? Lucienne slowly reached for my hand. The moment our fingers touched, a flood of memories crashed into my mind. Not mine.
Hers.
A battlefield covered in fire. An Omega queen with golden hair. A wedding beneath silver trees. Laughter. A promise.
A quiche.
Then blood. Screams. A broken crown. Lucienne kneeling in the rain, holding the lifeless queen in her arms, crying harder than any person should be able to cry. Then another memory. A prophecy carved into black stone. One sentence burned brighter than all the others. When the devil loves again, the dead queen shall return. The memories vanished. I stumbled backward, breathing hard. Lucienne caught me before I fell. Fear filled her eyes. Not fear for herself. Fear of me. I whispered. The queen. You loved her. Lucienne's voice barely escaped her lips. More than eternity. I looked into her silver eyes, then asked the question that froze every person on the mountain. And why did she have my face? The mountain fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. I stared into Lucienne's silver eyes, waiting for an answer. She did not speak. Her gaze remained fixed on my face, as if she were seeing two people at once. Finally, she whispered, "I prayed this would never happen." I frowned. "You knew." I suspected. "You suspected I looked like her?" She slowly nodded. "I did not know until our bond awakened." Mira stepped closer. The prophecy. Lucienne closed her eyes. I thought it was only another cruel story. Cassian tightened his grip on his spear. It was never a story. His voice carried no mockery, only certainty. The oracle carved those words before she died. I looked between them. I am not understanding any of this. Lucienne took a slow breath. 500 years ago, there were no Alpha Kingdoms. There were many nations. Some ruled with kindness. Some ruled with fear. She looked toward the horizon, as if seeing another world. There was one queen who wanted to end scent-based slavery forever. Her name was Lyra. The name echoed strangely inside my heart. Lyra. It felt familiar. She was an Omega. Lucienne smiled faintly. And she terrified every Alpha King alive. Mira folded her arms. I have heard that name. Our grandmother used to whisper it. Lucienne nodded. They tried to erase her from history. Cassian spoke quietly. They almost succeeded. I looked at him. You knew her too? I fought against her. His eyes lowered. I was young. I believed the Alpha Council protected peace. And now? He did not answer immediately. I know better. Lucienne continued. Lyra believed strength should protect the weak, not rule them. People followed her. Alphas. Betas. Even Omegas. She united them. I noticed something. Whenever Lucienne spoke about Lyra, her voice became softer, warmer, filled with love that had survived centuries. You loved her. I still do. There was no hesitation.
Nos jam.
Only truth. Did she love you? Lucienne smiled through visible pain. She proposed first. Despite everything. I smiled. I could almost picture it. An Omega queen asking the terrifying devil to marry her. What happened? The smile disappeared. The Alpha Kings united. They feared losing power. They declared Lyra an enemy of the world. Cassian looked away. I was there. They gathered every army. They gathered priests. They gathered mages. They even convinced ordinary people that the devil had corrupted their queen. Lucienne's hands slowly clenched. I fought them. I destroyed armies. I broke mountains. I split oceans. Her voice remained calm, but I could not be everywhere. A tear rolled down her cheek. They reached her while I was saving another city. Mira lowered her head. They killed her. Lucienne nodded. In my arms. The silence that followed hurt more than any scream. After a long moment I asked, why did they not kill you too? Cassian answered. They tried. The divine seal was created after her death. Thousands volunteered their lives to imprison the devil forever. Lucienne laughed bitterly. They called it justice. I called it revenge. I looked down at the glowing mark on my arm. So, where do I fit into all this? Nobody answered. Then the mark suddenly burned. A sharp pain shot through my body. I cried out. Golden and silver light burst from the contract. Visions filled my mind. A palace balcony. The scent of flowers. Warm hands holding mine. Someone laughing. Someone saying, if there is another life, I will find you again. The voice. It was mine.
No.
Someone else's. The vision disappeared. I stumbled. Lucienne caught me again. You saw something. I nodded slowly. I heard her. My own voice sounded distant. I heard Lyra. Myra's face turned pale. That should not be possible. Cassian whispered. The soul remembers. I looked directly at Lucienne. Am I her? She answered immediately.
No.
Relief washed over me. Then she continued. You are Aria. You have your own heart. Your own life. Your own choices. I nodded, then frowned. But she looked away. Your soul carries fragments of hers. The word struck harder than I expected. Fragments. Not the same person. Not entirely different either. My mind spun with questions. Before I could ask another, the ground exploded beneath us. A pillar of black fire erupted from the mountain. Everyone jumped back. From the flames stepped an enormous wolf. Its fur was darker than midnight. Its eyes glowed crimson. Its scent hit me like a storm.
Alpha.
Ancient. Powerful. The beast lowered its head toward Lucienne, then spoke in a deep voice. My queen. Lucienne sighed. I told you not to call me that. The giant wolf ignored her. Instead, it looked directly at me. Its crimson eyes widened. Then it slowly bowed.
No.
It cannot be. The queen has returned. The enormous wolf remained bowed before me. No one spoke. The mountain was silent except for the distant crackling of the divine seal surrounding the kingdom. I stared at the creature. I am not your queen. The wolf slowly lifted its head. Its crimson eyes searched my face. Then it inhaled deeply. The scent seemed to confuse it.
No.
It is different. But it is also the same. Lucienne stepped between us. Fenris. The wolf immediately lowered its ears. You frightened her. My apologies. His deep voice carried genuine regret. He shifted. Black flames wrapped around his massive body. Bones cracked. The towering wolf became a tall woman with long silver-gray hair tied behind her shoulders. She looked no older than 30, though the ancient strength in her crimson eyes told another story. She wore dark armor scarred by countless battles. Most striking of all, 2 wolf ears remained atop her head. She knelt before Lucienne. My queen. Lucienne sighed. I lost that title 500 years ago. You never lost it to us. Fenris looked at me again. And neither did she. I am Aria, I said gently. I know, but your soul carries the scent of someone I swore to protect. Mira stepped closer. You knew Queen Lyra? Fenris smiled sadly. I served her from the day I was born. She looked toward the horizon. I was only 18 when I pledged my life to her. You are over 500 years old, I asked. Fenris laughed. Wolves blessed by the devil do not age as mortals do. I looked toward Lucienne. You blessed her? Lucienne shook her head. I simply gave her a choice. Fenris finished the sentence. I chose to stay. The divine seal above us flashed brighter. Cassian frowned. We do not have long. Lucienne nodded. They know where I am. Almost as if summoned by her words. Hundreds of lights appeared beyond the mountains. An army. Marching toward us. Golden banners fluttered in the wind. Myra's expression darkened. The council. Fenris cracked her knuckles. Good. I have waited centuries. Lucienne looked at her.
No.
Fenris frowned. They murdered our queen. They hunted us. They enslaved Omegas. They deserve justice. Lucienne's voice was calm. Not revenge. Fenris looked away without answering. I watched them carefully. Despite their differences, there was deep respect between them, like family. Lucienne turned toward me. There is something you need to know before they arrive. I nodded. She extended her hand. May I? I hesitated only a second before placing my hand in hers. Warmth flowed through me. Not painful. Comforting. Images appeared once again. This time they were clearer. A peaceful kingdom. Children playing without fear. Alphas and Omegas laughing together. Queen Lyra walking through the streets without guards. People loved her. Not because they feared her, because she loved them first. Another memory appeared. Lyra stood beside Lucienne beneath enormous silver trees. She held a simple ring. I know everyone fears you. Lyra smiled. I only see the woman who keeps bringing abandoned puppies home. Lucienne looked embarrassed. There were only 6. Lyra laughed. You counted.
They kissed.
The memory filled me with warmth so intense it almost hurt. Then everything changed. Smoke. Fire. Screams. The palace collapsed. Soldiers flooded the streets. Children cried. Lucienne fought hundreds alone. She won. Again. And again. But every victory came too late somewhere else. Finally, she reached the throne room. Lyra lay on the floor, covered in blood, still smiling. She reached for Lucienne's face. You came. Lucienne fell beside her. I was too late.
No.
You came home. Lyra pressed the ring into Lucienne's hand. Promise me. What? When this world gives us another chance. Do not let grief make you cruel. Lucienne cried openly. I cannot lose you. You will. And you will keep living. Lyra's breathing slowed. Love again. Lucienne shook her head desperately. I never will. Lyra smiled one last time. You are terrible at keeping promises. The memory shattered. I opened my eyes. Tears streamed down my face. Not because the memories belonged to me, because they felt real. Lucienne quietly released my hand. I never kept that promise. You never loved again. She nodded. I buried my heart with her. I looked at the woman before me, the devil, feared by kingdoms, hunted for centuries. She looked impossibly lonely. Before I realized what I was doing, I stepped forward and hugged her. Lucienne froze. Completely. Her eyes widened. She did not know what to do. Very slowly, she wrapped her arms around me, only lightly, as though afraid I might disappear. Fenris smiled. Mira quietly wiped away a tear. Cashin watched without speaking. For one brief moment, the centuries of hatred seemed very far away. Then a deafening horn echoed across the mountains. The Alpha army had arrived. Thousands of soldiers surrounded the mountain from every direction. At their center rode a woman in brilliant white armor, her golden eyes fixed on Lucienne, then on me. She smiled. I finally found both of you. Cashin's face lost all color. He whispered one name.
No.
Celine. Lucienne's expression hardened instantly. The High Inquisitor. Celine drew a radiant sword, then pointed it directly at me. Kill the devil if you must, but bring the Omega to me alive. The mountain became surrounded by an ocean of white armor. Thousands of Alpha soldiers stood in perfect formation. Their banners snapped in the cold wind. At their center sat Celine. She rode a massive white wolf whose golden eyes never left Lucienne. Everything about her radiated authority. Long golden hair flowed over polished armor engraved with sacred symbols. A white cloak rested across her shoulders. She looked more like a queen than a soldier. Yet there was no kindness in her eyes, only certainty. She dismounted with calm confidence. Every soldier lowered their head as she walked forward. Cashin stepped aside. He did not kneel, but he bowed. My lady. Celine barely acknowledged him. Her gaze remained fixed on me. So, you are Aria. I instinctively stepped closer to Lucienne. Celine noticed. A faint smile appeared. Interesting. Lucienne's shadow wings unfolded once more. You are not taking her. Celine stopped 20 steps away. I expected those words. Her eyes shifted toward Lucienne. It has been 500 years. You still choose the losing side. Lucienne answered calmly. I chose the right side. Celine sighed. You always confuse those two. Fenris growled. I remember you. Celine finally looked at her. The loyal wolf. You survived. Fenris bared her teeth. I intend to survive you as well. The soldiers immediately raised their weapons. Lucienne lifted one hand. The shadows around us stirred. Neither side moved. The silence stretched until Celine spoke again. I did not come here to fight.
No.
Lucienne asked.
No.
I came to negotiate. I blinked. Negotiate. Celine nodded. She looked directly at me.
Aria.
I can end this war. My heart skipped. What? I can dissolve the divine seal. I can free every Omega imprisoned by the council. I can stop the executions. Mira narrowed her eyes. There is a price. Celine smiled. There always is. She pointed toward Lucienne. Give me the devil.
No. Ian suarat instantly.
Celine did not even seem surprised. You refused before hearing the full offer. I do not need to hear it. Lucienne looked at me for a brief moment. Something warm flickered in her silver eyes. Celine noticed. So, the bond is already affecting your judgment. What bond? I asked. Celine folded her hands behind her back. The contract you signed was never ordinary. Lucienne's expression hardened. Enough. Celine ignored her. The devil never binds herself to mortals. Not completely. You are her first full contract in 5 centuries. I looked toward Lucienne. Why? She remained silent. Celine answered for her. Because she feared becoming attached again. She spent centuries refusing every desperate soul. Until she found you. Lucienne's voice became cold. Stop. Celine smiled. Or perhaps. She recognized your soul. The words hung heavily in the air. I looked at Lucienne. Is that true? She closed her eyes. When I first saw you, I thought I was imagining things. You smelled different. Not like Lyra, but familiar. I almost left. You should have. I know. Her honesty surprised me. I came back because you cried for your sister. She looked at me, and in that moment, I stopped seeing the queen. I only saw you. My chest tightened. Those words felt more precious than any confession. Before I could answer, Celine clapped once. Beautiful. Tragic. And exactly why she must die. Lucienne stepped forward. I warned you. Celine raised one hand.
No.
Listen carefully. She reached into her cloak, then pulled out an ancient crystal. Inside it floated a tiny silver flame. The instant Lucienne saw it, she froze.
No.
Her voice broke. Where did you get that? Celine smiled. The battlefield. 500 years ago. Lucienne stared at the crystal as though the world had disappeared. What is it? I whispered. Fenris answered. It is Queen Lyra's final soul flame. I looked closer. The tiny silver light flickered gently, like a heartbeat. Celine held it between 2 fingers. One squeeze. And it disappears forever. Lucienne's hands trembled. For the first time, I saw absolute fear. Celine's voice remained calm. Kneel. Lucienne did not move. Kneel. The soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. The divine seal brightened overhead. Celine slowly tightened her fingers around the crystal. The tiny flame flickered violently. Lucienne dropped to one knee. Everyone stared. The devil. The woman who had stood against kingdoms. The woman who had never bowed to anyone. Knelt. Because of one fragile flame. Something inside me snapped. I walked past Lucienne before anyone could stop me. Straight toward Celine. Lucienne whispered urgently.
Aria.
Do not. I ignored her. I stopped only a few steps away from the High Inquisitor. Celine smiled. I wondered when you would come. I looked directly into her golden eyes, then calmly said, if that flame truly belongs to Lyra, then let her decide. Before Celine could react, I reached forward and touched the crystal. The silver flame exploded into brilliant light. Instead of burning me, it rushed straight into my chest. Celine's smile vanished. Lucienne's eyes widened in horror. The last thing I heard before everything turned white was Lyra's voice.
Soft.
Gentle. And impossibly clear. Wake up, my beloved. White light swallowed the world. I could no longer hear the soldiers, the mountain, the wind. Everything disappeared. When the light faded, I found myself standing in a vast field of silver flowers beneath a sky filled with countless stars. The air smelled of rain and spring blossoms. It felt peaceful, almost painfully so. I looked down. I was no longer wearing my torn clothes. Instead, I wore a simple white dress. Where am I? You are inside your own soul. The voice came from behind me. I turned slowly. A woman stood several steps away. Golden hair flowed gently in the breeze. Bright blue eyes sparkled with warmth. She smiled exactly as I had seen in Lucienne's memories. Queen Lyra. She looked no older than 24. beautiful, gentle,
Alive.
For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, I whispered, "You are dead." She nodded. "I am. But you are here. Only a memory." She walked toward me, not with the grace of a queen, but with the ease of an old friend. When she stopped before me, she tilted her head slightly. "You really do worry exactly like I used to." I blinked. "I am not you." "I know." She smiled. "And I am very glad." Those words surprised me. "I thought everyone wanted me to become you." Lyra shook her head immediately.
No.
"I loved being myself. You deserve the same." I felt something loosen inside my chest. "So, why do I carry your memories?" Lyra looked toward the endless field. "Because souls are strange. When someone dies with a promise that cannot be fulfilled, sometimes a fragment remains." She gently touched the center of my chest. My promise remained. I promised Lucienne that if fate allowed it, I would find her again. So, I was reborn?
No.
You were born. There is a difference. I frowned. I do not understand. My soul moved on. My life ended. But one tiny fragment refused to disappear. It searched. It waited. When you were born, it found a heart kind enough to carry it. She smiled again. But your heart was always yours. I thought about everything that had happened. So, I am Aria. You have always been Aria. And you always will be. Relief washed over me. Then another question appeared. Do you still love Lucienne? Lyra laughed softly. What an unfair question. I will always love her. But not in the way she needs. She looked directly into my eyes. I belong to another lifetime. You belong to this one. A gentle breeze carried silver petals around us. Lyra reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. You know, I was very jealous. You were? When I first saw your memories.
I ser det her.
You could see them? She nodded. You hugged her. I never got to do that when she was pretending to be frightening. I laughed despite myself. So, the terrifying devil was shy. Lyra smiled brightly. Hopelessly. I had to kiss her first. I could not help smiling. For a moment, the centuries of tragedy seemed lighter. Then Lyra's expression became serious. Listen carefully. There is not much time. I nodded. The Alpha Council did not hunt Lucienne because she was a devil. They hunted her because she threatened the order that kept them powerful. They fear love. I frowned. Love. They fear anything stronger than obedience. She looked toward the sky. An Alpha and an Omega standing as equals. A devil and a queen ruling together. They proved another world was possible. And that frightened them. I thought about the kingdom outside. The cages.
The force bonds. The fear.
They never changed. They became better at hiding it. Silence settled between us. Finally, I asked the question that had been haunting me. What should I do? Lyra smiled. Choose. Choose. Not for me. Not for Lucienne. For yourself. She gently placed her hand over my heart. If you love her because she is Lucienne, not because I once did. Those words struck deeper than anything else. Because they were true. I had admired Lucienne's strength, her honesty, her loneliness, the way she always protected others before herself. None of those things belonged to Lyra. They belonged to the woman waiting outside. The woman who believed she had already lost everyone she could ever love. Lyra seemed to read my thoughts. Her smile became softer.
Good.
You finally see her. The silver field began fading. The stars dissolved into white light. Our time is ending, Lyra whispered. Will I ever see you again? She shook her head.
No.
You do not need me anymore. Tears filled my eyes. I wish we had met sooner. We did. She touched my forehead gently. In another story, light surrounded her. Before she disappeared completely, she looked toward somewhere beyond me, toward the world outside. Then she smiled with quiet affection. Take care of my stubborn devil. The field shattered like glass. My eyes opened. I was back on the mountain. Everyone stood frozen. Only a single heartbeat seemed to have passed. Lucienne was kneeling before Celine. Fear still filled her silver eyes. I took one slow step forward, then another. I looked at Lucienne, and for the first time, I knew exactly what I wanted. The mountain remained frozen in silence. Celine still held out her empty hand where the crystal had been only moments before. The soldiers stared at me. Cassian looked as though he had forgotten how to breathe. Fenris' crimson eyes were wide with disbelief. Only Lucienne looked at me. Fear still filled her silver eyes. Not fear of battle. Fear for me. I smiled softly. Then I walked to her. She whispered my name.
Aria.
I knelt beside her. Without saying a word, I placed my hand against her cheek. She flinched, as though she expected me to vanish. I spoke quietly. I met her. Lucienne's entire body became still. You met Lyra? I nodded. She asked me to tell you something. Lucienne's lips parted, but no words came. I smiled through the tears in my eyes. She said, "Take care of my stubborn devil." For a heartbeat, the centuries disappeared. Lucienne closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her face. She laughed. A quiet, broken laugh filled with relief and grief. That sounds exactly like her. I gently wiped away the tear. She also told me something else. Lucienne looked at me. She told me to choose. Not for her. For myself. The silver contract on my arm began glowing. Warmth spread through my chest. I could feel the fragment of Lyra's soul fading peacefully, not disappearing in sadness, but leaving with contentment. Its promise had been fulfilled. I took a deep breath, then spoke clearly enough for everyone to hear. I choose Lucienne. The world became silent. The glowing contract burst into brilliant silver light. The ancient symbols changed once more. The sharp edges softened. The dark runes became intertwined with radiant ones. Lucienne stared at the changing marks.
No.
This is impossible. Celine narrowed her eyes. What happened? Cassian whispered. The contract. It transformed. Fenris smiled. The curse is gone. I looked at my arm. The frightening symbols were gone. In their place bloomed a beautiful silver crest shaped like two intertwined flowers. I looked at Lucienne. What does this mean? Her voice trembled. It is no longer a contract. It is a bond. A bond cannot be forced. It only exists if both hearts choose it. I smiled. Then I suppose it fits. Lucienne stared at me. You understand what you are saying?
Ido.
You may live forever beside me. I know. You will watch kingdoms rise and fall. I know. You will lose everyone else. I know. She shook her head slowly. I am not worth that pain. I laughed quietly. You sound exactly like someone who has spent 500 years alone. She looked down. I have. I gently lifted her chin. Then stop. The words escaped before I could think. You do not have to be alone anymore. Lucienne looked at me as though I had shattered every wall she had built around her heart. Before either of us could say another word, Celine's voice cut through the silence. Enough. Golden light exploded from her body. The mountain shook violently. I will not allow history to repeat itself. She raised her radiant sword. Thousands of glowing circles appeared beneath the soldiers. Every sacred hunter lifted their weapon. Celine pointed directly at us. Kill the devil. And if the Omega stands beside her, kill them both. The army charged. The mountain erupted into chaos. Fenris transformed into her massive wolf form with a thunderous roar. She leaped into the advancing soldiers like a living storm. Cassian hesitated only a moment. Then he turned. He pointed his spear at Celine instead. My lady, I cannot follow this order. The soldiers froze. Celine looked genuinely surprised. You betray me? Cassian lowered his head. I betrayed justice long ago. I will not betray it again. Several sacred hunters stepped away from Celine. Then several more. Not all, but enough. The perfect formation fractured. Doubt spread through the army. Lucienne slowly stood. She looked stronger than before, not because her power had changed, because her heart had. The shadows around her no longer felt cold. They felt alive. She spread her star-filled wings. Silver light and darkness mixed together around her. The divine seal above the kingdom trembled. Cracks spread across its golden surface. Celine's eyes widened.
No.
The bond strengthened her. Lucienne looked at the prison in the sky. Then she raised one hand. I carried grief for 500 years. A single crack crossed the barrier. I carried guilt. Another crack spread. I carried hatred. The prison groaned. But not anymore. She closed her fingers. The divine seal shattered into millions of pieces. Golden light rained across the kingdom like falling stars. Every chain of magic vanished. The prison was gone. The Alpha Council's greatest weapon. Destroyed. Celine screamed in fury. Then a voice echoed from the capital below. Not one voice. Thousands. Omegas. They were cheering. The people had seen the barrier fall. And for the first time in generations, they had hope. The shattered pieces of the divine seal drifted through the sky like golden snow. For a heartbeat, the entire kingdom stood still. Then the people below erupted. From the streets of the capital came thousands of voices. Not cries of fear, cries of hope. The sound rolled across the mountains like thunder. Celine looked toward the city. Her expression hardened.
No.
They should be afraid. Lucienne stood beside me. Her shadow wings stretched across the sky. For the first time since I had met her, she looked peaceful. Not because the battle was over, because she no longer carried the weight of 5 centuries alone. Celine raised her radiant sword. The council will never fall. Lucienne answered calmly. The moment people stop fearing tyrants, they have already fallen. Celine's eyes flashed with anger. Attack. The remaining sacred hunters obeyed. Golden light exploded around them as they rushed forward. Fenris met them first. Her massive wolf form crashed into the front line with terrifying force. The mountain shook beneath every step. She scattered armored warriors like leaves caught in a storm. Despite her strength, she never struck those who surrendered. She simply threw them aside. Cashin fought beside her. His glowing spear intercepted every attack aimed at innocent people. More hunters began lowering their weapons. They had followed the council their entire lives. Now they saw the truth standing before them. The devil protected. The council sacrificed. One by one, their certainty began to crumble. Celine saw it as well. You fools. They have corrupted you. Cashin shook his head.
No.
They reminded us what justice looks like. Celine's face twisted with fury. She lifted both hands toward the heavens. Ancient symbols burned across the sky. Dark clouds gathered. Lightning crashed around the mountain. Lucienne frowned. Everyone get back. The ground split open. A giant circle of golden fire surrounded us. From its center rose a colossal creature made of light. It stood nearly 50 feet tall. Its body resembled a wolf with enormous feathered wings. Its eyes burned like miniature suns. Its roar shook the valley. Mira stared in horror. The first guardian. Cashin's face became pale. I thought it was only a legend. Celine smiled for the first time since the battle began. It awakens only when the Alpha Empire faces destruction. The guardian lowered its blazing head toward Lucienne, then spoke with a voice that echoed across the mountains. Devil. You have returned. Lucienne stepped forward. So have you. The guardian's gaze shifted toward me. The fragment lives. It should have vanished. Lucienne answered before I could. It chose hope instead. The guardian raised one enormous claw. Hope changes nothing. Lucienne smiled faintly. It already has. The guardian attacked. Its claw descended like a falling mountain. Lucienne flew upward. Darkness and silver light exploded around her. The impact shook the entire kingdom. A shockwave tore across the sky. Clouds vanished. Mountains echoed. Below us, soldiers from both sides stopped fighting. Everyone watched. The devil and the ancient guardian clashed again and again. Neither gained the advantage. The guardian struck with overwhelming strength. Lucienne answered with impossible speed. Every collision lit the heavens. I clenched my fists helplessly. I have to do something. Mira grabbed my arm. You cannot fight that. I am not trying to. I looked toward the battlefield below. The council commanders still directed thousands of soldiers. Even though many wanted to stop, fear kept them obeying. An idea formed. I climbed onto a broken section of the mountain, then shouted with everything I had. Listen to me. Very few heard. I tried again. Louder. I am an Omega. This time, the battlefield grew quieter. They told you we are weak. They told you we exist to obey. They told you the devil wants to destroy the world. I pointed toward the sky. Look. Lucienne had every opportunity to unleash devastating power. Instead, she kept drawing the guardian away from the city, away from innocent people. Does that look like evil? Silence spread across the armies. I looked at the Alpha soldiers. You were taught to fear us. We were taught to fear you. How many people have died because someone wanted us divided? Weapons began falling on. The guardian slowly lowered its enormous head. The golden fire surrounding its body began to fade. Below us, the battlefield had become almost silent. Thousands of weapons lay scattered across the ground.
Alpha,
Beta, Omega. For the first time in centuries, they stood together instead of against one another. Celine looked around in disbelief.
No.
This cannot happen. She raised her radiant sword one final time. I command you. Obey. Nobody moved. The soldiers who had spent their entire lives following orders simply looked at her. An Alpha captain stepped forward. Slowly, he removed the crest of the council from his armor. He dropped it onto the ground. One by one, others did the same. The sound of metal striking stone echoed across the valley. The Alpha Empire had not lost its army. It had lost its authority. Celine's shoulders trembled. You are throwing away centuries of order. Cashin answered quietly.
No.
We are throwing away centuries of fear. Celine looked toward the Guardian. You exist to protect the Empire. The ancient Guardian gazed across the battlefield. I exist, it seems, to protect balance. Its immense wings folded against its body. The Empire forgot the difference. Golden light surrounded the Guardian. Its massive form dissolved into countless glowing particles that drifted into the sky. Its duty was over. Celine stood alone. Lucienne landed softly before her. There was no hatred in her silver eyes. Only exhaustion. It is finished. Celine laughed bitterly. You could kill me. I could. You deserve revenge. Lucienne looked toward the people filling the valley. I was taught something 500 years ago. A faint smile touched her lips. My wife believed revenge always creates another tyrant. She took one step back. I choose to honor her. Celine stared at her in silence. For the first time, she looked uncertain, almost empty. Guards approached carefully, not to kill her, only to take away her sword. She offered no resistance. The war was over. The sun finally broke through the clouds. Warm light spread across the mountains. Mira walked toward the freed prisoners. Many recognized her immediately, the woman who had started the Omega Rebellion. Instead of cheering, they embraced her. Some cried openly. Others simply stood together. No one wanted to let go. Fenris returned to her human form. She looked around at the peaceful valley and smiled. Our queen finally won. Lucienne shook her head gently.
No.
Our people did. Fenris laughed. You always were terrible at accepting praise. Lucienne actually smiled. A real smile. Not the quiet, sad one I had seen before. This one reached her eyes. It transformed her completely. She looked younger, lighter, as if centuries had fallen from her shoulders. I found myself smiling too. You should do that more often. She looked almost embarrassed. I am out of practice. I noticed. She laughed softly. The sound was warm, natural, nothing like the lonely laughter I had heard in the forest. Several weeks passed. The Alpha Council was dissolved. Representatives from every cent gathered to build a new government. Not one ruled by birth, but by trust. Mira became one of its first leaders. Cashin devoted himself to protecting every citizen equally. Fenris somehow became the most feared instructor in the new royal guard. Despite terrifying every recruit, they all adored her. As for Lucienne, she refused every title they offered.
Queen, guardian, savior.
She accepted none of them. She preferred walking through villages quietly, helping rebuild homes, listening instead of commanding. One evening, we returned to the ancient forest where everything had begun. The giant tree still stood proudly beneath the stars. Black flowers surrounded its roots. Lucienne looked at the place where I had first called for the devil. You were willing to give everything. I was. She turned toward me. If you had known who I was, would you still have taken my hand? I walked closer until only a single step separated us. I know exactly who you are now. She waited. You are stubborn. A tiny smile appeared. You are terrifying. She nodded. Fair. You are beautiful. A faint blush colored her cheeks. And I gently took her hand. You cry when nobody is looking. She laughed quietly.
I suppose I do.
I intertwined my fingers with hers. The world calls you the devil. They are free to. I know someone else. She tilted her head. Who? The woman who kept every impossible promise. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The stars glittered above the ancient forest. The wind carried the scent of flowers through the night. Lucienne reached into her pocket. Then she pulled out a small silver ring. Simple, elegant. The very same ring Lyra had once given her. She looked down at it, then back at me. I carried this for 500 years. I never believed I would have the strength to offer it again. She took a slow breath.
Aria.
I am not asking because of destiny, or prophecy, or memory. I am asking because somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. Will you stay with me? Tears filled my eyes. I smiled brighter than ever before, then answered the easiest question I had ever been asked. Yes. As the ring slipped onto my finger, the silver mark on our hands shimmered once, then disappeared forever. No contract.
No curse. No prophecy.
Only two women, choosing each other. And beneath the crimson moon where a desperate Omega had once made a deal with the devil finally learned how to smile again. The end.